From our Chicago studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I am Samana Siddiqui. Our top story tonight. Preliminary estimates indicate that more than 500 Palestinians have been killed in an Israeli strike on a Baptist-run hospital in Gaza City today. The Palestinian Health Ministry in Gaza says many people remain beneath the rubble. Thousands of civilians had been seeking medical treatment and shelter at Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital. An Anglican hospital was also bombed on Saturday. The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, said that hospitals and patients in Gaza are in grave danger and must be protected. He appealed for the evacuation order on hospitals in northern Gaza to be reversed and for health facilities, health workers, patients, and civilians to be protected. In an exclusive interview with Muslim News from a third hospital, a Palestinian Canadian confirmed that about 500 Palestinians were killed by Israeli airstrikes today. In addition, the UN and the Red Cross have lost several employees to Israeli bombings. Doctors Without Borders says that surgeons in Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital have now been forced to operate without painkillers. 22 ambulances and clinics in Gaza have also been destroyed so far by Israel. The UN Security Council has failed to adopt a resolution for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in the ongoing Israel-Palestine crisis. The resolution was put forth by Russia. It strongly condemned all violence and hostilities directed against civilians and all acts of terrorism. It would have also called for the secure release of all hostages, as well as the unimpeded provision and distribution of humanitarian assistance, including food, fuel, and medical treatment. The draft resolution received support from China and 3 non-permanent members, including Gabon, Mozambique, and the United Arab Emirates. The USA, the UK, France, and Japan voted against it, and the remaining 6 council members abstained from voting. A group of progressive lawmakers in the U.S. House has introduced a resolution urging a ceasefire in Gaza. The resolution urges the Biden administration to leverage substantial diplomatic influence to bring about an immediate de-escalation with a focus on saving lives on both sides. The resolution also calls for the swift delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza. The World Health Organization warns that essential resources such as water, electricity, and fuel could run out within 24 hours. U.S. Representative Cori Bush, one of the leaders behind the resolution, expressed grief for the lives lost in the violence. She emphasized the unique responsibility of the U.S. to employ diplomatic means to prevent further mass atrocities and preserve lives. A dozen House Democrats have joined Bush in supporting the ceasefire resolution. They include Rashida Tlaib, Andre Carson, Jamal Bowman, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, and Ayanna Pressley. A group of Jewish activists demanding a ceasefire in Gaza gathered in Washington, D.C. on Monday, blocking the White House's gates. A speaker said they are mourning the lives of Palestinians and Israelis killed and praying for the safe return of Israeli civilians now held hostage in Gaza. 10 days into the conflict with Hamas, Israeli bombardment and blockade of Gaza has continued. More than 1 million people, nearly half of Gaza's total population, have been displaced, according to the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East. Gaza is experiencing a dire humanitarian crisis with no electricity, while water, food, fuel, and medical supplies are running out. Civilians are fleeing to the south following Israel's warning to evacuate northern areas. The Council on American Islamic Relations has called for a thorough investigation into a threatening email sent to an Oregon Islamic organization. The email was received by the Islamic Society of Greater Portland. It contained the message, "Muslim dogs will die by the hand of Mossad. Die, Muslims, die." The Mossad is Israel's secret service. CAIR's National Communications Director, Ibrahim Hooper, has expressed concern over a surge in anti-Muslim and anti-Palestinian incidents nationwide. He attributed them to the dehumanization of the Palestinian people and denial of their human rights. CAIR offices in various states have decried several incidents, such as the stabbing death of a 6-year-old Palestinian-American boy in the Chicago area on Saturday. CAIR has also called for the arrest of individuals harassing students during a Palestine solidarity rally. Israel's Communications Minister Shlomo Karhi revealed plans to enact emergency regulations that could result in the arrest of journalists for their factual reporting. Under the proposed regulations titled Limiting Aid to the Enemy Through Communication, Karhi would have authority to direct police to detain civilians, confiscate their property, and target local and foreign media professionals. A journalist could be targeted if the government deems the reporting as damaging to national morale during Israel's ongoing conflict with Gaza. We're bringing more news stories after the break, so stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. An unconfirmed report says that 80 Israeli prisoners in Gaza were killed as a result of overnight Israeli bombing. Palestinian groups, including the military wing of Hamas, the Al-Qassam brigades, revealed they are holding up to 250 Israeli citizens in captivity. This revelation comes amid a backdrop of continuing Israeli airstrikes in Gaza, which have already resulted in the death of 22 Israeli prisoners. Abu Ubaidah, spokesman for the Al-Qassam brigades, announced the deaths in a video released by his group and aired on the Hamas-affiliated Al-Aqsa channel. He specified about 200 of these prisoners are held by his group, while another 50 are in the custody of various other Palestinian factions. Ubaidah referred to the foreign captives as guests in their hospitality and issued an apology for their confinement. Lebanon will file a complaint with the UN Security Council over what it called Israel's premeditated killing of a Reuters news agency journalist. Issam Abdullah was a video journalist for Reuters and a Lebanese citizen. Lebanon's national news agency reports that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has instructed the country's permanent mission to the UN to file a complaint of premeditated killing. The ministry says these acts were a blatant attack and a crime against freedom of expression and freedom of the press. A professor in St. Louis who called for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians on social media claims he was fired for his post. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch reports that last Friday, Seth Crosby said on X, formerly known as Twitter, that the attacks by Israel on Palestine were a much-needed cleansing, yes, but not an ethnic one. Israel is not targeting humans. In later posts, he claimed he was referring to Hamas and apologized before his account was deleted. However, a spokeswoman for Washington University says Crosby was not fired, but that the university is following up on the incident. University spokeswoman Julie Flory said in an email to the Post-Dispatch on Sunday that Crosby's opinions do not represent the university. An Israeli journalist says Israel uses false claims, such as the beheading of babies by Hamas, to escalate attacks and legitimize war crimes. In a post on X, formerly known as Twitter, Oren Ziv, reporting for a Hebrew-language news site, said that during a press tour organized by the Israeli army of the Jewish settlement of Kfar Aza, he saw no evidence of the beheading of babies. He also said in the October 11th post that neither the Israeli army spokesman nor its military commanders mentioned anything of the sort to journalists. Ziv did describe the scene he witnessed during the press tour as horrific and said he saw the bodies of dozens of Israelis. A New York City Council member was arrested on Friday on charges of criminal possession of a firearm after showing up at a pro-Palestine rally carrying a visible gun. Inna Vernikov surrendered herself to the New York Police Department, relinquishing her gun license. The incident came to light through photos shared on social media. They show Vernikov with a black Smith & Wesson 9mm handgun during a counter-protest at a pro-Palestinian rally near Brooklyn College. Vernikov, a Republican, holds a concealed carry license, but legal experts suggest she may have violated state law by bringing the gun to the protest. She is known for her vocal support of Israel. That's all from our Chicago studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Salam and good night.